there is one story I want to share with you first that's applicable to this, and this is the Get Your News On with Ron portion of the show. Off mic, you and I have talked about municipal broadband. I mentioned how it's an issue that's very, very important to me. And I want to share this with you. This is some breaking news in California. Governor Newsom's budget proposes a historic investment in public fiber broadband. This is happening right now. This was actually updated today. This morning, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced his plans for the state's multi-billion-dollar surplus in federal recovery dollars, including a massive, welcome $7 billion investment in public broadband infrastructure. It's a plan that would give California one of the largest public broadband fiber networks in the country. The proposal now heads to the legislature to be ratified by June 15th by a simple majority. And here's the details. Internet infrastructure shares many commonalities with public roads. So Governor Newsom's plan is for the state of California to build all that middle mile infrastructure, high-speed links that will bring future-proof capacity to the state's small, remote, rural communities, putting them on par with the state's large and prosperous cities. Laying fiber infrastructure like this brings terabits of broadband capacity to unserved and underserved communities in rural areas. Simultaneously, this plan dramatically lowers the cost to the communities themselves. To make local efforts economically viable, the governor's budget envisions a long-term financing program accessible. This is an interesting part right here. Accessible by any municipality, cooperative, or local nonprofit engaged in building local fiber infrastructure that connects to the state's open access network. In other words, we're going to be able to take control of our broadband infrastructure in our own communities. There's going to be a process to it, but we can do it in San Pedro or anywhere else. That's what that means. And this was written by the EFF. So this is some good news in a time where good news is few and far between. So if elected to city council, is this something you would pursue right in our neighborhood here in San Pedro?
Oh, yes, most definitely. I think that this is important for many reasons, as mentioned in the article, but I was recently talking to someone who lives in Wilmington and advocates for Wilmington, which is a part of CD15. It's the neighborhood just to the northeast of San Pedro. And she was saying we need better infrastructure for the internet. We need better broadband and better Wi-Fi in order to attract more businesses and make it more equitable for people to get jobs, because oftentimes today you have to search on the internet to get a job or to get any other access to like the phone or a bank. So I think that this would be something I definitely would support. And the city actually, they do a legislative platform yearly and they send it off to the federal government and to the state government. So I would most definitely support this. And I think it would be good for San Pedro, Wilmington, and all the rest of the harbor area for sure.
Well, I mean, we're definitely very underserved in all of the area, which is remarkable. I mean, Los Angeles is, one of the show business capitals of the world. And our infrastructure, because, it's common in most of the United States, our infrastructure is absolutely horrible. I mean, Cox is my provider. They're a fucking nightmare. They are a freaking nightmare. They are constantly, over the past few weeks, they have been doing maintenance, and it has knocked my internet out for several days, both times. One time, it wasn't even supposed to affect me. It was only supposed to affect business accounts, which technically I'm not. I'm still a residential account, even though I pay for the highest thing they offer. I mean, it's similar to healthcare in some ways. We pay more and get less than so many other countries. And it's because the big cable companies have an organized duopoly around our broadband infrastructure. It is beyond criminal what they're doing. It is absolutely criminal. And, this is a way to take the infrastructure back. And, I got to say, man, it's interesting. Gavin Newsom has been throwing a few crumbs lately. Not a lot, but he's been doing some things where, and this is one of those things where you kind of turn your head and you're like, that's a pretty good thing. He's doing something good in this case. And I can't help but think it's because he's feeling the heat of that whole recall thing. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. Oftentimes, I sort of consider myself a little bit of a person enlightened by the inside of politics. And whenever I see an action like this, I wonder, is he being pragmatic or is he being genuine? And I think that you're right. It's probably at least magnified by the recall effort. I think he might have supported it, but I think the timing is really good for him because now he can send it to the state legislature, as it said in the article, and then if the legislature does not pass it, he can say, well, look, I'm the progressive champion here.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in the legislature. We need to get this done. And so that would be a good thing for him to get onto the soapbox about if it didn't pass.
Well, I think there's a certain pragmatic part too, because he's got to see. I mean, people are leaving California. That is happening. That being said, we still have, California is one of the most stable, not well, stable is not the right way to put it, but it's one of the most resilient, I guess is a better way to put it, housing markets in the world, really. I mean, because it's like it's California, it's still incredibly desirable. But people are leaving, and he's got to look around and think, gee, we got to do as much as we can to really keep things here and to really beef things up. And this is something, I mean, you look at, and that's what's interesting about municipal broadband. This is not some left wing or right wing issue because you can argue it from any point of view. If you are a hyper conservative person who, like totes the Bible of Ayn Rand or whatever, you still should be in favor of municipal broadband because guess what? You love competition, right? This is called competition. That's exactly what this is. And also, it's good for business. It incentivizes businesses to come here. You offer the best broadband, businesses are going to want to come here. That's competitive in nature. That's pro-business in nature. Similarly, if you're, on the left, you should also love municipal broadband because it takes the internet infrastructure out of the hands of big cable where it never should have been in the first place. They have a mafia-esque organized duopoly, and it puts it in the hands of cities and municipality. And the way I like to break it down for people, Christian, whether you're the richest resident, the poorest resident, the mayor, or anything in between, we all want our pornography to load fast. So when the city's in charge of your internet infrastructure, it's going to be a lot better than some big cable company that doesn't give a hoot about you.
Yes, we need a combination of pornography and Postmates delivery of fried chicken. That is my primary campaign message now. So thank you, Ron. We crafted that in one meeting only. So
there you go. So folks, we're going to keep an eye on this legislation as it moves forward here in California and see what we can do on the local level about it too, because there is an opportunity for folks to start building their own cooperatives, which I think is huge. So right now, we're going to see what happens in the legislature. It is a policy that warrants some optimism. Digital rights organizations throughout the state and the country are in favor of it, which means it's not a bogus bill. It's actually a genuine one. We're going to keep following it on this show, and Christian's going to be on board with it. At least if he wants my vote, he will be. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on with Ron.